The initial release of this vehicle here is one of the most clicked videos on our channel. Why is that? And how good is the Zeekr 001? So to speak, from the exterior, something that reminds us maybe of an Audi RS6 exterior design-wise, but actually, in comparison to the competitors, be it combustion engine or electric, from the premium manufacturers like the Germans, this one here comes at least half the price, starting at 55,000 euros. What do you get for this price here? And is this a perfect example how to build a modern car? We'll find out for you here with Thomas Nautegefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the Zeekr 001 with a very expressive exterior design already. And here you can see the front signature from the daytime running light in a vertical way, almost like tiger claws, accentuated front hood, and split then with the main headlamp unit with a very nice bright blue color here for you today, also in Portuguese rain. Best greetings to all our fans from Portugal as well. And you see it is a full-size wagon, a full-size estate at the length of 4 meters 96 or 195 inches. Talking about inch, 21 or 22 inch wheels. These ones are the biggest one, 22. They're also included in this Privilege trim, it's called, not Prestige, Privilege trim. This one is the high trim level. Soon also going to talk about prices, what it adds for that price. Another thing that it adds is the air suspension. It's not available for the base model, but you also get it once again in this Privilege trim then here. And talking about battery range and so on, so this gets a 100 kilowatt hours gross battery. It's about 96 kilowatt hours net. And charging is here at 400 volt. So under 30 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge with a 200 DC peak, 200 kilowatt DC peak. So the Zeekr 7X is a new SUV. That one already has 800 volt charging and is way quicker than this one here actually. So it's already like a generation newer. But I mean, for most situations, it will still be enough, so to speak. And here, of course, you have the Estate, which is also more aerodynamic than a SUV. You either get rear-wheel drive, entry-level version, 7.2 seconds in the acceleration figure, or an all-wheel drive version, either as the performance trim or the performance privilege trim, which we have here once again. And then you are at 3.8 seconds for both all-wheel drive versions. And a very stunning look at the rear once again, here with these modern tail lamp signatures. Then here the Zeekr lettering. This is a thing here that is a new trend in the automotive industry, that you do not use logos anymore, but rather like the letterings of the brands and so on. So I think exterior-wise, this vehicle here works very, very well. Or what do you think? Tell me in the comments. But the main question is, of course, what quality do we get on the interior and what quality will we get in driving? This is, by the way, here the very interesting key fob. It's more like this, I don't know, squircle or something like that. Interesting approach. I mean, at least it's small and fits in the pocket by that. Does it have a frunk? Let's take a look at that. So here we go. And I release the front hood twice, like you do, for example, with the BMW. Let's see about that. And then we can lift it up and, oh, your cutie trunky. Frunky, cutie Frunky. So there's just a very tiny frunk. I guess this is like a tire repair kit or something. Yeah, it is, with the compressor and so on. Maybe for a tiny charging cable, but yeah, that's basically it. Oh, remove some like plant parts here that fell under there, like with the storm and so on. Still a dampening underneath. Very interesting as for that. And Leah always has a good eye for some Easter egg details. So here in the front screen, look at that. They have a silhouette thing. Yeah, this is obviously the Tour d'Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower in Paris. And the other ones, I'm not sure if it's all from Paris or other European monuments. Maybe if you are living in one of these cities and recognize it, tell me in the comments. Let's open the vehicle. You see a flush door handles. When I open it, they come towards me. I'm not the biggest fan of this over-engineering we have always seen from Mercedes and so on. I rather prefer classic door handles that don't move that far in and out. And aerodynamics-wise, it does make a difference. It's like here, everything from the wind is in this order here today. It doesn't make the biggest difference aerodynamics-wise. Here the windows are not double glazed, by the way. So let's see how it will affect the noise level when driving. Then into thank you so much, dear. Does it have soft close, by the way? Just checking. No, it doesn't. Doesn't need to have it. Here, frameless doors. So the question is, will it sound good or bad? I think 4 frameless doors, that's okay. I mean, we've heard better sounds, but also way worse. So again, 4 frameless doors. I think it's fine. Then inside of the doors here in this high trim level with the blue and bright scheme. So this in here also high-grade leatherette. Oh, sorry, my hair's a little bit wet still here from touching the door on the outside. And then here the nice bright microfiber. That's beautiful. 12-speaker Yamaha sound system. And then here we have these window levers, which are also, I thought it's galvanized, but someone now told me that's anodized. Maybe someone is like a chemistry expert in that one. However, no felt covering at the inside of the doors. That is something I do miss also with a lot of other vehicles. But then we have a very beautiful interior here, for example, also with the entry sill badge, more microfiber here, steering wheel with these hashtag capacitive BS controls. Soon more to that. What's the logic behind it? You can use it, these fields, but it's not like a real button or something like that. Also interesting that the steering wheel is animal material, and you can see it. This one has already become greasy from the look, but the rest of the seat, microfiber, and here a high-grade leatherette, and that one actually looks like new. Interesting how the like the new modern materials also have practical advantages. And then let's take a first test seat soon, also with the cockpit perspective, and wow, I mean, super comfortable. Wow, look at that here, the head-up display. Like this whole box is covered with microfiber as well. That's a beautiful thing. And did you know that this microfiber use originally comes from racing? Because in racing they use the microfiber. First of all, it's lighter than animal leather, and also this microfiber reduces reflections in the front windscreen, and that's why we always put black microfiber in racing cars. That's very interesting, and maybe like a reminiscence of that here. So head-up display is also available. Soon going to show you how you can also make use of that, especially when controlling something here at the steering wheel. And here the cockpit perspective, I mean, wow, look at that. It's actually available in 2 colors, either in a more like very dark gray or blackish microfiber, or then here this blue with the bright mix. And this is just awesome, right? It's available in the higher trim levels, and I would definitely go for that one here. So this is a microfiber in here, and outside is a very soft leatherette. It also looks really nice. And it's also very comfortable, you know, like the seating position here, very plush. Also for tall people is really nice. So I like the seating depth as well, so very comfortable indeed. And here the headroom, 1.89 m, 6'2". And this here a fixed panoramic roof. You see it's tinted somewhat against the sun, but there's nothing you can actually change with this panoramic roof. But the highlights are definitely the seats here, also with the integrated head restraint and so on. So the build quality is really amazing, I have to say. And also here, everything is covered then in this slick leatherette, for example here. Also this automatic shifting lever. Then we have a manual control here for the volume still. That's at least nice to have. Inductive charging pad is not ventilated though. Cup holders are adaptive, that's nice. And here you can open this split armrest, and there's USB-C charging underneath and a lot of space. This could be maybe a little bit softer for your elbow, though, gotta say that. Then the glove box, you have like a button here in the lower middle console, and you open this one. Is slightly dampened, but when there's some weight in it, then it falls down quickly. I found very nice. We also have the microfiber covering here, and once again the leatherette right there. So they still know how to work with details, you know. That's the cool thing about this vehicle. And then consider once again that the 55,000 euro entry price. Again, this one here, the high trim, will be a little bit more expensive, also with the all-wheel drive and so on. At the conclusion, more about the prices. But still, you already see that from the interior build quality, the price-performance ratio is actually pretty decent. For example, also how the visors here, the sun blinds, are also covered like with microfiber, and then they're like really plush when you like, you know, press them and so on. Let's see, it's no extension available, however. And also the whole headliner around this, also with microfiber. So that's what I want to see actually from German premium cars. So yeah, I mean, there are still some things that the German premium cars do better, yeah, especially like in driving and so on. But the build quality here, I think that's something where the Germans need to go back to, you know. But I mean, driver POV, these black fields, they're not empty. I mean, visually, yes, but you hear something is happening and you can do something with it actually. And especially interesting here is the right side, because here at this moment, I can swipe or I can press for volume, more or less. And if I press this one here, then I can actually, there we go, with sliding, increase or decrease the temperature at the steering wheel. So it's actually a cool function, although I'm not sure if it's the best solution to leave it like all black and make it capacitive, you know what I mean? And then here, the digital instruments. You can also see something of the consumption already right here, and the speed and the range and so on. And the main infotainment screen. So it has this Tesla layout, let's take it that way. Climate unit here in the lower part like this. I always prefer manual controls, of course, with 3 buttons and so on. And then, oh, and now there's one problem already. I actually, I opened the trunk. There you go, just as a visual proof. Yeah, there's this button for the trunk opening and the closing in the lower part. And if you just rest your hand on it, just slightly, you can also close it again from there. There it is when you press this one. And yeah, when you just do something like this here and have your hand there, that can easily open the trunk in the rear. So maybe not the best layout there, honestly. Here, there are some seat controls, like seat cooling and seat heating is cool. Like microfiber seats with seat cooling. That's amazing, actually. The whole system itself is, let's say, not slow. The one in the Zeekr 7X, the all-new model, the SUV, is a little bit quicker already. So it's not the quickest, but already one of the quicker ones, so to speak. And cool thing is here as well, they also offer Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. It's, of course, also a difference to Tesla. And they also have a nice Yamaha sound system, 12 speakers. And it's a nice surround sound indeed. So, like that. And to deactivate that speed beeping chime, slide downwards and then here, overspeed warning. Now the rear seating area, very interesting. First of all, inside of the rear doors, here also nicely covered on the top. Microfiber here, beautiful. Just again, no covering at the inside door pockets. And here, I would suppose that this one is the control for the front seat here then, that you can just make it more forward. But I couldn't get this function to work. Maybe it's only while driving or something like that. Gonna find out more about that later. Then here the seats, Isofix on the outside each. You can fold this one here up, also with the bright microfiber, and it's also really comfortable. So we had a shuttle ride in this one here yesterday as well. Headroom 1,89,602 is all still possible for Toy Ls, getting close though, but it's really plush and comfortable also here. The only thing with the electric vehicles again is that the floor is relatively high. You can see here how the angle of my legs is. Yeah, and in the combustion engine versions, the feet are a little bit lower. That's the thing though, but it's still really good. Legroom here, plenty of legroom. So this is really usage of space here in the length. And then here on this side, you can pull down this zipper here. Then you can fold down the middle console with some space here. However, this one just folds down. It's not dampened or something. Adaptive cup holders, that's nice. And here you have electric adjustment for the rear seats. So you can make it a little bit steeper like this. Actually quite relatively steep, or more backward in the relaxed position. So good luxury features. And once again, think of the price, like the price performance. And here also the head restraints, you can move them a little bit like, you know, like this shape, that it kind of like encloses your head. Also with a soft microfiber, it's a nice cushion and is really a place to relax. So a good shuttle vehicle indeed, with the only but that we have here, like not, I mean, see, it goes a little bit lower in comparison to the middle part here. Yes, so they did something to counter this one. And it's also, let's see, we have also seen EVs where this effect is even worse. And then here in the middle, you have also a console for seat heating, for example, and activate the lights here. And in the lower part, USB-A charging, USB-C, 60 watt actually, but you can also close it if you don't need it. The trunk is at 540 liters, but what does it mean? Well, I mean, it's obviously in a state. Let's take a look. So the thing is, first look, it looks a little bit shallow indeed, so not that high. However, it is very wide. That's where the liters come from. So this is 1.40 meters. But you can see here, it's way more than that. It's like 1.15 meters or 45 inches in width. This one here does, yeah, closely fit underneath indeed. Then the length we have here is about 42 inches or almost 1.10 meters. So that's also good. And let's see what other features we have here underneath. We can fold down this. Sorry, fold up this, storage for cable and some cleaning towels underneath. And you can also put it a little bit lower. Then you do have more height. I mean, when you take out all the stuff indeed. And let me just check it out. If I put it out completely, what maximum height we could score there. We can also remove this one here. Yeah, you see, trunk or boot is always work. And then here the maximum height here would be about 30 inches or 77 centimeters. And that's again good then if you count the under, like this lower compartment with that. And here we can also fold the seats. right and left, easily done. See here, this one needs probably another push to fold down, like maybe a little bit fold up like this. So, and then see the total length to the seat as I would be driving. So here, yeah, we are almost at the full 2 meters or 78 inches. So indeed, very well usable. I mean, this really goes also as a replacement for another full-size estate. And again, the main difference is really that when this additional cover is in place, then it's a little bit shallow here. But other than that, you have the flexibility. Sport mode. Woo! Yeah, that was 0 to 90 kilometers an hour. Your brain leaves your body. To 100 is 3.8 seconds. So it's, yeah, it definitely got the Lear meter going as well. So that's nice. Yeah, great acceleration in the sport mode here. Also stiffer suspension, definitely. So you have more feedback actually from the road, because with the 22-inch wheels and the sport mode air suspension setting, it's really rough done here, definitely. But it drives actually quite well. Very nice here, also with the steering, precise and everything. Gotta say, with the acceleration, it didn't give me the most controlled feeling. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of surprising. I mean, it's a large vehicle and still got so much acceleration power there. So it, yeah, really gets your heartbeat going. Let's take it that way. So just one lifting on the throttle and wow. Yeah, that's really something. Gotta say that, like, I feel that the like switching between the throttle and the brake pedal is not the most ideal ergonomic situation down there. Just realized that actually. Yeah, but I mean, this is the all-wheel drive version here, Privilege version. Definitely got some boost, and it is fun to drive. Although it's large, heavy, big battery, definitely a lot of fun in driving. Let's see, also see how a U-turn works. It's not too bad, right? Like, but
wow!
Turning, wow, very narrow turning circle. Yeah, not quite like this little car there. The Citroën is also available in the Opel version. It's probably doing the same thing that we do here at the moment, right? Having some fun. But definitely, as for this agile driving fun possibility, works very well. Let's see when we accelerate and like steering with that. Whoa, yeah. I mean, the all-wheel drive version here gives you so much more punch. Rear-wheel drive version will also be fine if you want to stay lower in the price, and it will still somewhat be quick enough. Something else I did realize here, also when driving a little bit slower and also when the road is a little bit destroyed. So we have here the frameless doors inside the rubber sills. And that sometimes sounds like, let's say, a cheap convertible. Reminds me of that, because it creates like this, you know, squeaking noises when the window is somehow like moving against the rubber sills, and that's nothing that I would expect from a high-class premium vehicle, and that's what it tries to do, you know. So I'm not sure if it can be fixed, maybe with some, you know, I don't know, something you could rub in there on, you know, on the rubber sills. Maybe that will help, but that's something at least I recognizing now when also, you know, doing some turns and everything, and but it's only when the road is really rough with potholes and so on. Motorway acceleration. Woo! Woo! That was 60 to 120. Yeah, I mean, definitely quick enough. And let's go back to the comfort mode. So we have a little bit more comfort here on the motorway. And here now at 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, still reasonably silent, I would feel. Some wind noise maybe like there from the side mirrors, but
very windy.
yeah, it's windy indeed. But so far so good. Let's see if we can maybe at least drive 120 at the other part of that road or something like that. But here the comfort mode is also good then for the motorway. It's not set too soft, so it still feels kind of sporty, gotta say that. Let's do like a quick lane change or two. It's also fun and nice. Let's see about blind spot monitor. We have signal here in the side mirror. And talking about the assistance systems, I can also set the cruise control here at the left side of the steering wheel. Yeah, it doesn't look like I could do something with here, but I can like press or slide, so it depends on, and then I can see what I'm doing actually in the head-up display, which is also in a way good, because then I'm also having the focus on the road. Here now, adaptive cruise control is set, and let's see about the active lane keeping assist. So this one is activated now, and let's see, there we go. So here, steering then for me, and let's see how smooth it is and how centered I'm being kept here. Oh, I now realize once again, by the way, here with the elbow, I said it's not soft enough here, but sometimes I'm even a little bit more forward with the elbow, and then it's even harder. But I think so far the adaptive cruise control did a good job, and also with the active lane keeping assist. I have to cancel it now because I want to reduce the speed. Yeah, here when you have your elbow here, it's sometimes too hard. It's really sensitive with this warning, hey, you're not looking on the road. So if I just like briefly look to the camera, I immediately get this acoustic chime there. It's like, you should check out the camera once again. But I think it's doing fairly well here, also on the motorway. Let's see here, getting off, slightly using that slow recuperation, so to speak. And we'll switch on to another motorway. Here we go. I always like these motorway transitions. They're actually a lot of fun to drive, and definitely this gives you fun in driving. And then the question is really, what can the Germans do against this if they sell this one here at at half the price? I mean, the driving dynamics are better still with an i5 or with an Audi A6 e-tron and so on. That's maybe something, but this one is already good, you know. And we had the feeling, especially when you drive this one in an agile way, that you can get sick from it a little bit, but that's also in general about very heavy EVs, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it's really a problem for the other premium manufacturers if they offer such a vehicle, that build quality at that price. That's really the thing. So the only thing we really told you that, like with this squeaking noise, like from the window frames, that's maybe the only thing we could really find. Other than that, it's really hard to find something which you can really criticize or where you find bad quality. Let's now go to 120. Yeah, I think it's still okay. It's not too loud. Some wind noise here and there. Probably should test it once again on the German motorway, where we can drive even quicker than that. But so far, the noise installation is also at a decent level. You see that I also have the Apple CarPlay here really maximized, so you can very well see what I do. It's like in your face. I mean, in a way, some say it's distracting. On the other hand, it's also a safety thing, because I can quickly see exactly what I'm doing. And also when I'm like want to change something here and there, like the icons are really, really large, and that's also easier to hit than while driving, for example. So yeah, it's actually not too bad. And I can also change the temperature, as I said, like this here, swiping up and down on the steering wheel while driving. Good to have that as well. Not the biggest fan of these empty black fields here. Maybe there could be a better solution for that, but it's good that they also offer an alternative to change the temperature while driving, and not only being able to do it here down in the screen. About recuperation and one pedal driving, so you can either turn one pedal off, and here, and just it keeps rolling. Still set the regenerative braking to higher. This is also possible. Let's see the difference. Accelerate a little bit. Deceleration. Then here this speed hump. We can also test. Oh, it's smooth from the air suspension. And here in the standard mode, let's go off the throttle. Doesn't, like when you are in the non-one pedal driving mode, it doesn't seem to make such a big difference here. Let's see, it was standard again. Now again the high when I'm a little bit quicker. Yeah, it's a little bit more, definitely. But then here, one pedal driving, this is then when I'm here on the throttle, lift it off, and then the car really comes to a standstill. And here I feel there's an even higher difference when I'm in the high now, one pedal driving, versus the standard in one pedal driving.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But do you also feel that the driving,
agree, yeah.
like the regenerative braking modes, there are a bigger difference when you are in the one pedal driving mode, right? That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, especially for it's a matter of preference. Some prefer the one pedal, but for the passenger, I think it's somehow better if you use not the one pedal driving and just a like not so strong recuperation there.
Oh,
That was
what's the cable from?
That's an electricity cable that came down with the storm or something. Doesn't look that good actually. Yeah, so I tend to finely dose it with the brakes. Well, of course, if you learn to do the one pedal driving really sensitively with the throttle, it's also possible in the very same way. And here turning, it's an interesting turning indicator sound for sure, definitely.
It's loud a little bit.
Yeah, also quite loud. It is really good with this destroyed road and the speed humps to test more of the air suspension, and it's doing really nice. 22-inch wheels though, so that does cost you some comfort, definitely, but you feel that this is an air suspension. However, it's not tuned on the softest note. It's also still that it's quite sporty, honestly. Let's drive through these destroyed. Yeah, you feel the 22-inch wheels like the small stuff that is destroyed on the road, but the waves and so on are evened out quite well. So this is always the thing. At least the air suspension, yeah, evens out this very big wheel effect, but I think it's still not a good trend, and everyone is going for the larger and larger wheels though. You see it's quite stormy outside and rainy, but here at these lower speeds it's still very silent, so we feel we are like cocooned here in this interior, and also because everything is here nicely covered and so on, that also adds to the sound deadening on the interior. So far very relaxed. I can also, this is one of the very rare cars where I like to really rest my head on the head restraint because it's really plush and comfortable, so that's actually a very nice feeling. And here in the normal comfort mode you see also that the steering input is quite nice, so it's very direct. There's also no dead zone area from the steering, so it is actually a lot of fun also to drive it around in the city, and yet at the same time very comfortable. Our test consumption here today at about 15 degrees Celsius, so like 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Wayne, not the ideal conditions, but also not so bad conditions for a battery electric vehicle. And we end up with a consumption with maximum motorway speed of 120 kilometers an hour, so maximum 75 miles per hour, because we're in Portugal. At least legally you can only drive that speed there. And some city mix in there as well. And then you go with some 21 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers, so 3 miles per kilowatt hour. Would mean for this big battery here a real world range of 460 kilometers or 285 miles, which is quite decent, quite good. Will of course be different when it's colder or when you drive in Germany on the German Autobahn with higher speeds. I really want to test that one next time, if it's then less efficient and so on. However, you have to bear in mind that in comparison to an SUV, this will always be aerodynamic. That's why it's also very interesting. You also sit lower than in an SUV. That gives you better driving dynamics. And the thing is, some things where you consider like the more expensive competition, like the Germans, if you now think of an Audi A6 e-tron or Mercedes EQE, Mercedes EQS, BMW i5, BMW i7 and so on, they are very good in the driving dynamics still, the Germans, and a lot of things they can do very well. Better assistance systems, for example, like that. So not everything is like top-notch, super great with this vehicle. But I think the most astonishing thing about this one here is that at that price, they deliver a great design. It's stunning. It's also good from the interior build quality. It's comfortable. It has space on the inside. And considering this price-performance ratio, that's actually the most extraordinary thing about this vehicle here. 55,000 euros it starts, but when you go here for the all-wheel drive version plus the Privilege top trim, 70,000 euros. But that's still a great price-performance ratio if you think about how much money you spend, how big is the battery, and how good is the interior build quality. That's still astonishing. And so far, they only have some markets in Europe, but they want to expand to further markets very soon. We'll also keep you updated on that.